First episode of Night City Wire, yes. See how it goes.
Welcome to this, the very first episode of Night City Wire, a brand new series from us at CD Projekt Red, where we'll be talking about all things Cyberpunk 2077. For today's episode, we'll be starting with a brand new trailer. One of our developers will be joining us to help unpack everything you're going to see. We'll have some news, an announcement about a secret collaboration. We'll be taking a look at some brain dance gameplay and welcoming back our developers just to have a chat on everything.
Yeah, me too.
But there is one more thing. Media all over the world have been getting hands-on with Cyberpunk 2077, and when this episode finishes, you'll be able to go and check out exactly what they thought. So, let's get started. It is time to take a look at our brand new trailer, and after that, our lead quest designer, Pavel Sasko, will be joining us, because I've got a feeling you're going to have a few questions after watching this. So, let's take a look.
Love this.
Hey, it's like 8 stars.
City of endless opportunity. Ready to get your cherry popped? Yeah, come on.
City like any other, just bigger.
Nah, mano, not just any other city. Legends are born here.
The major leagues. We're only here because Dex is pulling the strings. Doubt that puts us in the same league as them.
But we are. They just don't know it yet. But if you got the cojones and you know how to use them, you can do damn near anything.
Unless you catch a bullet.
Even then, you go out with a bang, right?
You know, you can make heaps more Eddies as a motivational speaker.
Yo, Mr. V, a pleasure.
So what's the gig, Dex? You meant to come out in one piece?
I love it.
How about we go over the plan?
There's this prototype tech, a biochip to be precise. Jobs to grab.
Guessing it belongs to a corp.
Arasaka.
We're robbing some heavy hitters.
Thought you could blackmail me, fucker?
High risk, high reward. First rule of the afterlife.
Ka-ting, baby.
Goes without saying, we do this on the hush. Ideally, no bodies, not a one.
Yeah,
Sounds simple enough.
that seems unlikely.
He's lead, assholes!
No bodies.
Dangerous?
Don't you worry, mi amor. We're bulletproof. Your ass moving now!
What the fuck just happened in there?
Can't stop digging Night City.
Fucking major leagues. Happy now, Jackie?
Yep, that's fucking high! And the bail!
Oh my god, we're so fucked.
Dex, what the fuck?
Can't risk it, V.
And you, who are you?
That's just the prologue.
That was just the
Fuck.
Damn.
So the trailer contains footage from the game's prologue only, but there was an awful lot in it. So, Pavel, why don't you try and help us unpack everything?
Oh no, don't do that. Oh, my internet sucks.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, I can try. So, what you have just seen is only the prologue of the game. So that awesome stuff is only happening in the first few quests. What the trailer shows you is
That was
really
all in the
our
first few
stage,
quests?
The night scene, you know, this gigantic city filled
Damn.
of completely unique districts, surrounded by the seventh one that we call the Badlands.
I'm really interested
Badlands.
to see
You
how
are meeting
Yeah.
Jackie's your friend. Now, they together are trying to reach out for something that is very precious. They're trying to reach out for this chip of immortality, gateway to eternal life. Jackie introduces you to Fixer Dexter Deshawn. He's a very important person in the social ladder of Cyberpunk. He is able to provide the player with various jobs and contracts to be able to gather money, to be able to modify their bodies, push themselves to the limits, to put their hands on the chip. But as you can expect, not everything goes as planned, and but to see it, you will have to play the game.
Quick
There are
save,
an
quick
awful
save,
lot
quick
of really
save.
cool things in this trailer, and there's a few that I would just love to talk about a little bit more for the people at home. So let's start with talking about a gang called the Mox. Now, we see a few flashes of them in this trailer. I personally think they're really cool and one of my favorites.
I'm gonna
but
stream
can
it
you give us
all,
a little
at
bit more
least for
information
first.
about them?
Oh yeah,
Oh yes, so
I've got
the Mox, one of the
7
gangs
days
that the
off
player
work.
is going to interact with throughout the game. The Mox is the gang that has been formed
So,
in
yeah.
2017
I'm gonna be streaming
after
literally like
death
10
of
days in a row.
Elizabeth Borden. She was called Lizzie. Now, she was owner of a brothel and former sex worker, and she was protecting working guys and girls from harassment, from abuse, and the gang is really continuing her mission. And as a player, you're going to interact with that gang, meet multiple different entities, and craft your own relationship and understand what they're all about.
So earlier on, you did mention a 7th district, a place called the Badlands. Now, we saw a few shots of this in the trailer, but I'd love for you to give us a bit more detail about the district outside of the city.
Okay, so Badlands is this like dead, dried out space going around the whole night.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting.
You'll be able to
Yeah.
that space in your car on motorcycle.
Well, and it gives them so easy to do extra content and stuff. Just add another area to the Badlands or something if they want, you know. And they will. You know they will.
Out of the cars and motorcycles.
Oh yeah.
And as a player, you'll be able to traverse and access different type of open world content that has been prepared specifically for you to get that awesome feel of the Badlands as an area.
In the trailer, we also saw like a completely metal creature. Now, he didn't look like he was from the Maelstrom gang. This looked like something else. So, please tell the people at home, who is this giant metal monster?
Okay, so the big dude, that was Adam Smasher. He has
Of course.
been
Oh,
introduced
damn.
in pen and paper
There he
in
is.
Cyberpunk 2020 by our senpai Mike Pondsmith.
Senpai.
Smasher is a fully converted cyborg.
Oh, yeah.
He was always a loyalist of Arasaka. And,
He is epitome of meat or muscle or metal over meat. I'll get it
his
right.
own space in Night City. But to find out, you have to.
Oh crap!
In
Beautiful.
this trailer, we do see
that's
some
better.
flashes of a Ripperdoc called Victor Vector. I think if people have watched our previous gameplays, they might remember him. But I'd really like for you to give the people at home some more information about what Ripperdocs are and how they'll
Oh,
be
crap.
interacting with them
What
when
the
they
hell?
play Cyberpunk.
So Ripperdocs in our game.
What the hell?
They are surgeons.
Damn
They're
it.
like a
There.
specific type of a
I'm sorry.
job
My
in the
hack
social
streamed
ladder.
is having issues, but I go good
They
now.
are
Maybe.
accustomed and specialized in replacing limbs
I'm really looking
to
forward
the
as well to
metal
seeing
one.
like
They can
just
basically update
the
your
level
body,
of
enhance your body,
cyberware
change you into
customization's
this
gonna be.
walking war machine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as a player,
I
you're
really
going
like
to
that
meet
scene,
different
you know,
kind of
the first
Ripperdocs
thing when he,
in
like,
the
plucks the
game.
eye out,
Craft
you
your own
can, like,
And then you're
relationship. Some of them
seeing
are,
it
like,
from other.
important
Yeah,
characters
yeah.
For a story.
Right.
Through that, you will invest eddies that you're gathering to turn your body into this tool that allows you to survive on the streets of night.
Pavel,
This-
thank you
this
so
may
much for
be the
joining us.
most
I know you'll be back later
replayable
in the
game
episode because you're going to be helping
ever
us to analyze
in the end.
Braindance gameplay.
You know,
But
do all
before that,
cyberware
do
or
have
minimal
some news to share.
cyberware or killing
Earlier
everything
in
or
the
anywhere in
we
between or
announced
not,
if you
you know,
pick up
minimal.
Cyberpunk 2077
It's-
To me, it's all
on
different
Xbox One,
characters.
you'll be able to play it on Xbox Series
Well, and
X when the
there's
console
so
launches.
much
And just in
customization
case
going to
you
be
missed it,
available.
It will be the same for PlayStation players as well. If you pick up Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation 4, you'll also be able to play it on PlayStation 5 when the console launches. And that's not all. There will be a free upgrade for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5.
That's
We'll have more details on that soon.
that's pretty cool. That's so
Before
cool.
we reveal our first look at the Braindance
Oh my
gameplay
God.
and welcome back
Yeah.
our developers
Yeah,
for chat,
yeah.
there is just one more thing we want to announce. Something that we've been working on in secret for a while. We
Oh,
are
what's
very
this?
excited to announce our partnership with Studio Trigger and Netflix to bring you Cyberpunk Edgerunners, a standalone anime
shit.
set in the Cyberpunk universe, which we've been working on for some
Damn.
time now. Edgerunners is due to launch in 2022, but for some more information, let's go to the team in Tokyo.
Kicking
Hi, my name is
ass.
Saya Elder. I am the Japan-based producer for Cyberpunk Edgerunners. What I do basically on this project is that I am a fixer, to put it in
this
the
is a
words
nice
of
surprise.
the Cyberpunk universe. We are a game company. We are a bunch of
This is a
nerds,
very
and
nice
wherever
surprise.
there are nerds, there's going to be anime fans. So it was always a dream for us to make anime. When we began this project, we were certain that we didn't want to make a recreation of the game. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a standalone story set in the same universe. The stage is still Night City, but everything else is totally new. New characters, new story. I do like to think that it's going to be a great gateway for newcomers to come and check Cyberpunk game and also the Cyberpunk genre as a whole. Right now we're in Nakano, which is one of the biggest anime meccas of the world. I'm going to take you to Studio Trigger right now because we have the wonderful opportunity to talk to the Dream Team that will be bringing you this anime.
こんにちは。トリガーの代表取締役の大塚です。
監督の今石です。
キャラクターデザインを担当する吉成です。
ゲームのサイバーパンクのファンの方、今回初めて触れる方両方に満足していただけるようにアニメを作るそうです。よろしくお願いします。
今回はそのサイバーパンクという僕らが10代の一ファンにしか過ぎなかった頃に生まれたジャンル、そういうジャンルのものをまた、時代が何周もして作れるというのが非常に楽しみです。
トリガーも10年ということで、監督に今石、キャラクターデザインに吉成というトリガーの最強の夫人で、トリガー10周年にふさわしい作品にしていきたいと思います。お楽しみに。
That's cool. That is so cool.
Now it is time to show you some gameplay of Braindance. This is a feature that you'll experience when you play Cyberpunk 2077. Braindance is essentially a recording of somebody else's experience. It allows you to relive their sense of sight, smell, touch, and even hearing, all thanks to a special device. After the gameplay, I will be welcoming back Pavel Sasko. I will also be joined by Patrick Mills, our senior quest designer and all-round lore master, who will be helping to answer your questions and give you some explanation on how you'll be interacting with Braindance when you play Cyberpunk 2077. So, let's take a look.
The whole, you become that person.
Plan simple.
Right.
Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out. We sell the BD to those psycho freaks from the studio.
Got it.
And remember, everything on full blast. They'll spot us extra for a wicked adrenaline high. Okay, on you go.
Down, everybody, on the ground. Want to see you kissing the flooring. Money, now, or I will fucking drop you, I swear to God. Well, yeah, hey, now, before I blow your fucking head off.
Damn.
Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked. Soft activated your hormone blockers. Nothing happened.
Oh, look, there's an option.
You're
to
alive
skip
and
ahead.
well.
Why would you ever skip ahead?
That was too much. I feel the guy's pain, his stress, his hope. Hope wrapped up in something else.
Oh, that's interesting.
Probably took a booster just before.
Damn. It's interesting.
Everything set
So
up.
you
Let's
can
switch over to
move
editing.
around in everything that he can see.
You can kind of like a 360 camera kind of thing, sort of. You can, if it's within his field of view, you can change your perspective, apparently.
Full cam
Okay,
analysis
cool.
mode. So move around, zoom in and out, whatever else you come up with. That is your own.
Very interesting to see next.
So analysis mode, you control playback and even pause with it. Then you use the editor console to unpause. Try it.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get creative. You go in, snatch the cash, get out.
This
And we
is
sell the
definitely
BD to those
part of
psycho
the
freaks
tutorial.
from the studio. Got it.
Dream as hell, right? No, that's not all. You can speed things up or rewind, whatever you like. Give it a try. Rewind. Roll it back to the top. All good. Neat. Now try fast forward.
Plan simple. Do nothing odd.
Okay. You can also reset the recording. That'll take you right back to the beginning. Try it. Now for some fun. This here's why you came in the first place. In analysis mode, you get to view and even scan details of the enviro recording of the BD roller. Focus on the heat. The gun this gonk gets from his buddy at the beginning. Now scan it.
Plan's simple. Do nothing odd. Don't get greedy. You go in, snatch the cash, get out.
Okay, right here. Excellent. Let's move on. Now heads up. In analysis mode, you can ferret out background noise and conversation.
So you can't see that
This
thing,
tag
but it's
records
still because
everything,
it's full.
every little detail, even the sights and
it's
sounds the
full
roller was never
sensory.
aware of.
Right.
To see the sources of the recorded
Oh.
sensory signals, switch to the audio layer and edit. Go ahead and try that now. Okay, good. Now you should see several sound
Oh,
signatures
wow.
in the store. Choose one and hone in on it.
Yes, there was someone talking in the background. And because it was within that guy's sensory range.
Within his perception.
So, any thoughts?
Unbelievable. Seriously, like what's happening right next to me.
It's how BD recording implants. They pick up everything, all the elements in the back. Then an editor tweaks it, makes them pop. Keep playing with the sound, explore it a bit. Move on when you get bored.
Wanna see you kissing the flooring? Money! Now!
Sometimes you can analyze extra layers in the raw. Pick up the roller Cyberpunk.
A whole nother game.
Ev's got Kuroshi optics that grab infrared, meaning you should be able to grab heat signatures from the recording.
Damn. Yeah.
Huh. Hella nice.
Scanning works on peeps. Walk up to the wounded chick. Try scanning her. Alright, next thing. Scroll forward to the part where our artist gets lead injection.
Or I will fucking drop you, I swear to God! Well, now, fucking head off!
See that? They shot him and he never saw it.
Crazy.
But you will. Here it comes. My favorite part of the game. See the blinking thing over the entrance? Surveillance cam. Must have caught our shooter. You'll see in a sec. Cam feeds to the screen behind the curtain. Roll back to where the screens indicate the
Oh,
field of
shit.
vision. Then scan it.
God, you can pick up like everything.
His own Chumba shot him. Probably planned to all along. Must have got a nice slice of cred on the black market for BD like this. BD freaks are ready to pay a preem for a real flatline. Anyway, if you've seen enough, you can
Blackjack.
Impressive, right? Too bad most of the BDs we do here are only good.
Really.
So Braindance is a pretty big part of the Cyberpunk universe. It's not just something used for adult films. There is an awful lot to it. And there's two sides I'd really like you guys to help me explore. First is the lore, so how this actually fits in the universe. And then there's the gameplay side, so how players will be interacting with it. So Patrick, could you tell us more about the lore of Braindance?
I would love to. So in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, Braindance was invented way back in the early 2000s at UC Santa Cruz. It was developed as a way of recording a person's experiences and then playing them back for someone else, so that they could relive them.
Lots of
as though it
experiments
was
on
happening to
criminals
them.
in prisons.
It was originally used for things like therapy and prisoner rehabilitation, but by 2077, it's become this global media industry, including things like movies, mass entertainment, things like that, video games, some interactive things, and of course, adult fare as well. Now, in our game, we deal a lot with black brain dances, or XBDs as we call them, and there are different types of those, but the one that you saw in the trailer just there was a flatliner. Now, that's where the person recording it actually dies during the recording. And it's popular with sort of an illicit kind of a thrill, but a mercenary can also use them for various things, and you'll see that in the game.
And from the gameplay perspective, we have been working a lot throughout last years trying to figure out the best way how to use Braindance in the game as a mechanics. So what we have settled on is this Braindance editor mode. As a player, you will be able to run the Braindance in the editor mode and see different clues that have been registered on the peripheral of given actor. Now, as a player, you can slide on the timeline of that recording, back and forth, trying to uncover different clues. And that clues are actually telling a story in the game. So, as a player, you will run different investigations that will lead you to different mysteries, and you will uncover them actually using that brain dance as a mechanics in the game.
So, as Pavel was saying, we use Braindance as a storytelling tool. It's not a collectible. It's not something where you're going to go in and you're going to play it and you're going to be like, I've seen this before. What we use Braindance for is to give you a keyhole into the life of the residents of Night City. And we can explore things like childhood trauma, religion, various philosophical ideas in a way that you might not otherwise experience in a story about a mercenary on the tough street.
So we've tried to talk about some of the aspects that we think the community will find really exciting, but, you know, while you're both here, I'd love to know, what is it about Cyberpunk that you guys are really excited? Patrick, why don't you start?
So one of the things that I'm most excited about in this game is the characters, the way they interact with the world. We've got this really interesting world that stretches all the way back to the Cyberpunk 2020 source material and all of these events and all of those things. But those don't mean anything unless they connect with characters. And so when we come up with a character, we start with their function. What is this person?
Be interesting to try a minimal
but we don't stop
firearms
there. We
playthrough.
go back and we figure out what was their childhood like,
Just
what was
hand to
their
hand.
upbringing like, what kind of obstacles did they face in this harsh reality, and did they overcome them, and how did they overcome them, or did they not overcome them, why? And you can see all of those things in their environment, in their dialogues, in sort of how they operate in the world. And we come up with that for all of our characters. Now, you look at someone like Victor Vector, and you're going to see stories about his past in his environment and in his dialogue. You know, we come up with that stuff even if we don't use it in the game, because it helps inform us as to who these characters are.
And
just it's your background story kind of stuff. Even
I would not say
you don't
that
read your background story in game, but
our quest, like with
it helps everybody know who the character
with
is.
Patrick and like everybody that has stayed with us since The Witcher 3 time, we really have grown so much. We have learned so much, and we have used all that experience to put them into the quest that we have made. And you will not find really a filler in this game. Like, everything has a meaning. Like, we put so much effort into making sure that everything is rewarding, is interesting, is talking about characters, as Patrick said, is talking about worlds, is talking about emotions, like touching the player in a really, like a real way. And I just can't wait to find out what you think.
Pavel, I know you mentioned story and quests and writing quests, and when I was last in the studio, I had a look and I saw a
crazy 25 minutes in, all this information.
It's
just shit.
Okay, Holly, you asked for it. So this is my notebook. This is a salsa quest designer. The reason is I dance salsa, and I'm a quest designer. So I started this notebook actually when we were really starting Cyberpunk.
Oh shit!
At the very beginning, I wrote like a first note, and it says pretty much something along the lines of that we're starting with a prototype. And then, you know, I kept on basically noting things that we've been working on for like next years. I remember once when our concept artists actually approached me, and they said that they wanted to take a look on my notebook.
Freaking tiny handwriting too.
Actually, and they took some pictures, and they told me, yeah, well, you know, because we are looking for a reference material for notes of a psychopathic killer. So yeah, well, you may find maybe some of my notes.
Damn, that's so dense. I mean, just
Pavel
so
and Patrick,
thick.
thank you so much for joining me.
So much.
I'm pretty lucky because I have read some of the stories that you and the team have written for Braindance, and I'm pretty excited for people to discover them. But before we do finish today's episode, there is just one more thing I'd like to talk about. Earlier in this episode, I mentioned that media have been getting hands-on with the opening of Cyberpunk 2077.
Which year is the only question.
Right about now. And if you missed anything from today's episode, don't worry, we'll be uploading everything to our channels very soon. And finally, on behalf of everybody at CD Projekt Red, guess what?
That's pretty nice.
Did she get cut off early? Or was that just me?
I don't know, because, yeah, they said,
At least on my side, it was like she was still talking. And it cut her off in the middle of a sentence. But yeah, but I guess that was cool.
I think.
Okay.
That's it for The Wire. Hey, everyone, welcome back.
Because basically, it's moving over to hosting Twitch Gaming, but
Oh,
Gaming,
I'm pausing that. Yeah, so that's
yeah, no, it's
yeah.
4 minutes. 4 minutes time. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the brain dance. I think it's unique. Like, I can't think of any other game that has something like that. You know, because it's not just you're living through another character. It's also
It's more,
like
yeah.
stuff, yeah. You can like scan other people and like, you know, watch the CCTV and see stuff that, you know, even this guy can't see because it
Right.
says, you know, he can hear it. It's, yeah, I think Brain Dance is very unique. For me, it just like there's a lot now. I just have more stuff that I want to find out about, basically. Like the unarmed combat. I want to see how deep they go into that. The outside Night City, the Badlands. Very interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I'm that's going to be interesting to explore and see what's out there, you know. See what's hidden.
Oh yeah. Like,
you know.
I'm gonna be exploring.
You know, there's Easter eggs out there. There's going to be stuff out in the middle of nowhere.
Definitely. Like, I can't imagine. I can't imagine them not doing that. Like, you know, like not putting loads of stuff just in the middle of nowhere. But it's good to see Nomads getting some love. Yeah, sometimes I feel like the cyberpunk genre can forget about what goes on outside cities.
Right.
So.
Yeah, there was just so much. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it like 3 more times, you know, to try and catch stuff because it's just there's so much in there. You know.
I think I caught a lot of like the gameplay type stuff. Some nice car chases. I like driving games as well, so I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing what the driving is.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how much of that. Oh, I can't pull up my recording right now, because I'm still broadcasting it. Anyway, yeah, the drive. It's gonna be. Geez, it's like 5 games, and I mean, we'll see how much there is to the driving thing. But I think the driving stuff and the car modification stuff could almost, you know, just be a mini driving game. You know, you got all the cyberware stuff. We got the. Man, I don't. It's a little bit overwhelming how much there is. I don't know. I don't want to sound too fanboy, all that stuff, you know. But there's just so much.
I've got, like, as I said, 7. I've booked 7. I'm going to book 8 because I forgot. Well, I didn't notice that November 19th was a Wednesday, so I've got the Thursday, Friday, and then the following week. But no one else in my team has booked time off in November, so I'm good. And I've still got like all of my holiday balance from this year, so again, but yeah, I'm gonna have 8 days off work, so that's literally gonna be 12 days in a row. I'm gonna be playing this, you know, I'm gonna be playing Cyberpunk 2077 for like 18 hours a day. I still don't think I'm gonna finish it.
No, probably not. Probably not. No, especially if you do start on a higher difficulty.
Yeah, like it's gonna be hardest difficulty. Just and I'm further handicapping myself by it's gonna be thematic. It's gonna be It's gonna be a role player's playthrough. You know, I'm gonna make my character, who's gonna be like a mix of solo and Netrunner. I know what that character's like, and I'm gonna just play like that character. Like,
It's gonna just
screw min-maxing. I won't be able to get. Nice, they did a countdown and now it's just stopped. But yeah, I'm not going to be getting like a silly amount of cyberware because it's not the character. I'm going to be I'm going to be looking at the stuff and looking at its humanity cost, stuff like that, because I seem to remember from the first trailer they ever did, you know, there is like humanity cost and stuff. So I'm gonna be looking at that and then deciding what cyberware I want to get. So it's not going to be like an optimized playthrough, but it is going to be the hardest difficulty.
Well, I tend, on my first playthrough of most stuff, I tend to not do the hardest, but maybe one step, depending on what the options are, like a step below the very hardest, so that I'm not just constantly having to reload from saves and stuff. You know, hopefully, you know. But yeah, I want to go through the character creation stuff. I want to go through all that. And I don't know. Definitely got to have solo. And solo Netrunner was actually solo Netrunner, solo tech. Maybe all three. Kind of very generalist. I don't know. We'll see. It's I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not massive. I'm not massive on the tech bit. I'll probably get some, but
I just want to check out the spider.
Not like big.
I want to see what that spider can do, and that, I guess as a more tech side, you get to play it. The spider becomes a companion.
Oh yeah, like drones and stuff like I guess. Going full like covert Netrunner solo.
Oh yeah, I see. Well, I can't imagine you doing a covert type character. I don't ever would have expected that.
No. But yeah, if have you got the Twitch gaming stream up?
Which the channel? Well, CD Projekt Red's channel.
Yeah, I had to. It's the channel they were hosting, but then
okay.
Oh, okay.
Right off the gate.
I see that.
Just to give you a rundown of how I played. In the demo, we'll be able to join the gang.
Oh, let me bring that back up here.
Phil, join the gang. Going back to the prologue.
But yeah, like when they said
in Lux
all of that's from the prologue, it's like
going back to the prologue.
All of that is from the prologue. What?
I'm not going to spoil anything. I will simply say that depending on who
I'm
you
wondering, I'm thinking
Corpo, a nomad, or
going to end.
kid,
You know the
you have like a different intro, right? So I chose a Corpo.
Where they
just because I want to see what it would be like, because I'll probably
Jackie gets shot.
I chose a Corpo.
I think that is going to be.
You have an opening scenario where you can learn more about the corporate lifestyle, right?
Of the prologue,
and then what happens is
how long's the actual
something happens.
Considering what's in the prologue feels like it could basically just be a standalone game.
I don't know. This I think full play be try to longer, probably longer than Witcher 3. Maybe by like.
I mean, CD Projekt Red did say that. They said it was going to be much bigger than The Witcher. And Witcher's not exactly small.
Right.
Jeez, like... Because, yeah, like, that's basically what I'm thinking, is, like, if pretty much everything we've seen so far is prologue. Because if you think about what we've seen so far, we've seen, like, you know, the job, the job where, you know, you liaise with Glorious Military Corporation. Yeah. There's like, you know, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand, you getting shot by Dex, you meeting Dex.
Right.
All of that stuff we've seen in like E3s and other things, all prologue.
Right. That's all just.
Like,
That's all just get world started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I will be curious. Like, oh, it's once shot trailer shot by. Is there a way to get that out? Him shooting, talk your way out of it. Or I wonder if there's some way to get that out. Lose. There's just one of the. Or if that's a preset. But the way they talked about it, it's almost anything different paths through it.
Yeah, that's one of the things they were talking about is there's all these different ways. So what I'm wondering, and it'll be interesting to see, like, will there be an option to just betray Dex before he betrays you?
Right. Well, there's they mentioned the one had the option get a hold of the obviously check your spot. Yeah, is there a way right up front that you still gotta somehow get
Yeah.
like somehow happen because there are multiple paths to get that.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the bot has nothing to do with the chip.
Right.
But the bot, you're still working for Dex. Because if you remember, you get the job from Dex, and he's like, "Oh, you could also call up this corp."
Right. It's gonna be interesting to explore the different paths. It's gonna be difficult to resist the temptation, back up and say whatever, so you can play through another. Try to take another line on the first. That for me. I want to see all those options.
That's why I'm doing different character playthroughs. I've got my netrunner solo, who is quite corporate. Then I've got another one is gonna be my my nomad solo medtech kind of one who's not so corporate. Yeah, I've got a whole host of characters that I'm gonna be playing.
So he's not going to actually tell
Makes
it.
sense. No.
That kind of left it open. It might actually.
Got a question about car customization here. Everything.
A ton to do there up front, and then as you go through the game, from weapons to clothing.
Well, I apologize, anybody watching my side. Apparently, his audio wasn't coming through.
Face masks.
Oh well.
Everything
Sorry.
that you can make about your V is customizable. How in depth is that? Because there's a lot there, and I only scratched the surface.
Honestly, I would say it is really in depth. Like we're always saying, Cyberpunk we want to make a true, proper RPG of the future, and part of that is we want to give you as much freedom as possible. So, you can create a character that looks exactly like you want it to look like. You can choose your body, you can choose your voice, you can choose details like piercings, scars, how your body looks like. So we want to offer a lot of stuff up front, but then the thing is, since we're making an RPG, we also want to offer a lot for fans of RPGs. So of course, at the start of the game, you'll be able to choose your base attributes that you can then build upon throughout the game. And I can go into a little bit of detail there when it comes to how deep it goes. So
Sure,
as an example,
I'm sure we'd love to hear. Yes, yes.
all right. So as an example, you have your intelligence attribute, and that as an example would help you a lot with, let's say, net running. So if you want to play a really good hacker. So you can of course get that attribute, but then within that attribute, you have perks. And these perks have multiple trees where you can especially now specialize what kind of netrunner you want to play. So these perks, as an example, might make you be able to take over cameras and do lots of different things. And I think we added so much choice there because we have this fluid class system where basically you're not supposed to, or you're not stuck to playing a single class. You can just choose the attributes, skills, perks, wherever you want. And on top of that, because of course, story is really important for us, these attributes can also be part of dialogues. So as an example, if you have a high intelligence attribute, sometimes there might be choices popping up in dialogues where maybe, you can now ask a question that would be more for a netrunner. And only you who has that intelligence attribute can ask that question. And then of course, on top of that, you choose your life path, which, you can, as an example, be a nomad who starts the game outside of Night City and has to try and get into the city, or as a corpo, or as a street kid. And all of these change the beginning of the game, but then throughout the game, you now also get your choices in dialogues for your specific life path. So you can even role play your character even deeper. And then to come back to vehicles,
I don't know, Street Kid might be my first.
At the
that
moment,
might actually be
not
my
plan
first.
right now the kind of customization you would expect from, let's say, Need for Speed Underground, where you choose specifically the tires of your car. But it is important for us that, of course, players do have freedoms with how they, as an example, interact with vehicles. So of course, if you have a really high body attribute and you're really strong, you can rip open doors from driving cars, steal them, or if you have a lot of engineering skill, you can steal cars that might be locked. But those don't belong to you. But of course, you can own your own vehicles, and you can own different vehicles. You can buy them, or of course, maybe sometimes in the story, in quests, you might get different kind of cars as your reward.
Go to the cars for a minute. There is, at least what I noticed, you can steal a car that's like a parked car.
The chat
Like,
on Twitch is just going insane.
But if you're trying to steal a car from like a person driving, is there like a secret dice roll or something behind the scenes? Because sometimes it's like, nah, dude, you can't steal from this guy. He's like, I'm locking the doors. No. Do you have a chance of completely failing that?
Yeah, because it basically depends on your RPG skills. So as an example, the better the lock of the car, of course, it has a higher, let's say, body attribute.
they've already said
The
that.
body can, as an example, mean how strong you are. And if you're a really strong level
Or whatever
character,
combination
you can just
thereof,
rip open
yes.
that door. But if you're weak, that lock will hold, so you can't get in.
Cool. And we had some other questions. Just get to some of these. Are there pets in the game? Can I have a pet when I play this?
So at the moment, we're not
The
planning
bot.
to have pets, because the
The
thing
bot
is, this
counts, I
actually has a
guess.
big story reason. So not without revealing too much, animals are actually quite rare in the world of Cyberpunk.
Right.
So there's actually a few dialogues where you talk about, birds were the first ones to go. So this is actually part of the story that only, let's say, the rich, like the super rich in Night City, can even afford to have pets, and they're like a pretty
More,
expensive commodity.
Yep. Blade Runner level.
Does it have photo mode? I think you've already mentioned this before in previous things, but I'll ask again, does it have photo mode?
Yes,
As they
absolutely.
said before.
Cyberpunk has a
Yep.
photo mode. Because of course, we're saying with our customization and with the way that you can customize your character, with the way that you can use gear, because of course, you can get cool t-shirts, jacket, sunglasses, whatever, you can make your character look the way you want. We kind of also want you to be able to show off your character. So that's why a really robust and cool photo mode was really important for us.
What about flight vehicles, or vehicles that are not specifically cars on the ground?
No fighter jets.
So there are vehicles like that in the game. They're called AVs.
Yeah,
and
but
again,
you
they're
can't own
actually
one.
only for
I don't
the
think you
super
can fly
upper
one either.
echelon of people
Yeah.
in Night City. So you, as a mercenary, you will not be able to fly them yourself. But it might be possible that as part of stories, you might be riding sometimes in some of
Yeah,
those cities.
they've already mentioned that you're going to be
The next
able to
question
take rides.
is how vertical is the game? Like
Right.
how much verticality is there? We see these tall buildings. Having played it, I don't know the extent, so I'm going to rely on you for this. But having played through it, that was one of my first questions.
I want to be able to.
I kept seeing all the tall buildings. I kept seeing like all these examples of massive skyscrapers, trailers, and in previous footage, and it's like, all right, but is it just a thing that's there, right? Is it just background stuff? So I spent a lot of time walking around inside of buildings, and I will simply say, it appears from what I saw that you can walk in every single one of them to a limit, because sometimes
You're right
they're
back.
like, I'm sorry, you're not allowed in. But yeah, I have to ask you, can you just go to the top floor of every single one of these?
Well, the
think they
thing for
said
us,
before.
it's, when we
Let's see.
actually make a game, we always want to give you something worthwhile to do. So we're basically saying if we have a really good idea, for as an example, a quest or some other activity that could take place in this building, then we're going to open up that building. And as an example, V's mega building where V's apartment takes place has multiple floors. You're actually up really high. You have a really nice view from your apartment. But we don't want to open up just every single building in Night City, because then you'd just, enter a million apartments with nothing to do, and you just get confused. Because for us, it's more important to really, if we actually lead you somewhere, there should actually be something really interesting.
So
to
only if
find.
there's
But,
something to do
suffice
in that
say,
building.
There's still lots and lots of buildings and interiors that you can get into, and of course also really high ones.
Yeah, and much like The Witcher, for example, the maps had, as you can see on the screen right now, here's some of the worst section. They're on the map. When you like scroll out on the map, you can see exclamation point, question mark, very similar to Wild Hunt, and you can travel around and just discover things. And from what I found, it seems like all of them have purpose in expanding upon the world. They aren't just like, you found a random guy who's going to give you an item, right? They all add to the story in some way, and I thought that was fascinating. And so designing these quests, going through, what was the goal in making all of these?
It's big
because there's a lot. There's a lot, and it didn't seem to me like any of them were fun. So, like, how did you sit down to try to go through all this stuff and come up with a way to tell this story through all those
Right.
quests that are
It's been a long time coming.
So as an example, as a quest designer, I can talk about how we filled the world with these, smaller side quests that maybe sometimes you'd only take 5 or 10 minutes. And when we were actually designing those, our lead quest designer and our quest director were actually giving us also a list of, as an example, interesting topics that maybe don't come up that much in the main storyline. So let's say, religion and cyberware. How do religions that we have right now interact with, the knowledge that sometimes suddenly people can maybe almost be immortal? And this, as an example, could be an interesting topic for a side quest. And then we do it organically from there. Because I think one thing that maybe makes our, quest also interesting is that we don't have these strict rules. This is what a quest needs to be. This is where it has to be. It has to have 1.5 combat encounters. We actually try to make it really natural, to really say, okay, is this a story worth telling? Is this something interesting? Does this say something about the world or about the characters? And if all of that is yes, and of course then if it's also fun to play, then this is a quest we want to do. And I think this is kind of how we approach all the content in Night City. So essentially everything you do should kind of tell you a little bit about the city.
That makes sense.
Sure.
Right.
There is a question right now. Can we customize the voice? I will simply say from the bit that I got to play, you can customize either the feminine voice or the masculine voice. There were the two voice actors, and then it doesn't matter what V looks like. You can pick whatever voice of those two. At least that's what I got. Maybe you can go a little more in depth on that, but that's what I said.
Yeah, exactly, as you said, because we said we do want for you to have the freedom to create the character you want to create, And that basically includes that you can choose the body you want to have, and then you can also choose the voice you want to have for that body. Just so you can basically have the experience of playing exactly the character, exactly the V that you want to play as.
Another question. Does the character origin choice, Street Kid, etc., have an actual big impact? When I played as a Corpo, just to see what the Corpo life was like, the intro scenario, like I described earlier, you land on a basketball court and you sort of go into the roof into the club, and that's where your scene starts. Later on, when you go back to that club and you have to go through the main entrance, you can use your Corpo attitude and essentially be like, I've been here before, I know how this works, and you don't have to deal with the mocks. And you're like, nah, I'm right. So you can use that swagger that you have as a Corpo player, and you will get dialogue options. It will change events over the course of the game. So I imagine for those who played a Nomad or a Street Kid, they would have similar different choices and added scenarios. Things would change based on they were. But yeah, if I screwed anything up, let me know.
No, it's exactly as you said. So as an example, the game starts in a completely different place. You're a completely different character. So without spoiling too much, because I don't want to take away from the experience, as a Nomad, you don't start in Night City. You start outside of Night City, outside of the borders, because Night City is actually in the future an independent city-state. So you actually first have to get through the border into Night City, and this is how you start the game. And as an example, as a Street Kid, you're already, you're known in the city. You start in Haywood. You start in a bar. And talking about bars, Banan, if you help me out.
Just hiding behind the bar the whole time.
And basically, it was really important for us. While Banan works.
Has he been back there this entire time?
Damn.
Of course.
Oh, that's great.
We've been working
that's
on
hilarious.
All
right.
Just waiting, waiting for the right time.
Where was I? So basically, it was really important for us to not just say, okay, this changes the beginning of the game. We really wanted to say, this is important for the rest of the game. So from the start to the end, you will have these choices. But as an example, we also tried to keep it natural. So if there will be a quest where, you work more closely with, let's say, the higher echelon of Night City, so you might attend a board meeting, of course, then someone who has a corporate background might have some additional choices there. Or if I have to work with one of the Nomad clans in the Badlands outside of Night City, then someone who comes from a Nomad background, understands their traditions, understands what it's about, and then of course has different choices. And sometimes this might just be for role-playing. Sometimes it's just a nice thing you can say, but other times it can actually have consequences. And it can influence how the quest and how the story progresses. So we always want to give you something new and something unexpected.
Or if you're just
one more question we have is, can you steal gears and stuff from inside shops and use them?
Or if it'll be like with the gangs, you could have different relationships with different corps, maybe.
In that there were the two sides of the screen, and you could sell and see what they had. You could see how much money they had to spend on things. When you scan the world, there's things you can pick up and steal. But I'll leave this question to you because you definitely know. Is there anything you can sort of like steal from a shopkeep? Borrow from the
got to agree.
Various hackers.
Very beautiful.
Well, so since this is the world of Cyberpunk, you can imagine that would be a really, really bad idea. So if you remember our initial gameplay trailer, I guess there was someone trying to steal stuff and he was just shot dead. So we actually we didn't want to give you that option for now, and we really wanted to make shops something really convenient for you, where you can just buy and sell your gear. Because the thing is, if you would now suddenly kill every shop owner while stealing, then there's no shop owners left. So, we try to keep this as convenient as possible for you.
No shops left.
And, part of that is, of course, also features
I guess you got to limit
Wild
things
Hunt.
somewhere.
Moving into Cyberpunk, as an example, if I see gear that I want to buy, let's say a gun, then I can, of course, I immediately see comparison to the guns I currently have. So we just try to make the shops.
Well, I was going to say,
really
I was thinking like the old NetHack, if you ever played that one.
Is there player house?
Once you get to a level, you can kill shopkeepers, but by the time you get to the level you can kill shopkeepers, you could just buy anything you want anyway.
I can say V has an apartment, but right now, at the moment, we're not planning, for you to buy different apartments. Because, Cyberpunk's a very story-focused adventure. and just buying now new apartments and buying like a villa.
That
with
might
a
just be
pool.
the animation
It's,
for
as
him.
an example,
I
for
don't
the
know.
story we're telling at the moment, didn't really fit that. But of course, housing is something that always sounds cool. So I can never say that we might never do it. But for the moment, I think you'll have to live with the apartment that he has. But once you see that apartment, I think you'll be happy to see that it's a pretty cool place.
How big is the city? I know it was mentioned there are 7 districts, one of them being the Badlands, but like compared to Los Santos, other games that we have experience with on massive city scales, how big is Night City?
I think we don't have an exact comparison because we never put someone in to measure the square meters. But it is a big city. So, as an example, when you see our trailers, when you see our gameplay, all the buildings you see at the horizon, they're not background. That's all part of the city, part of the map. And then, of course, Night City still has surrounding area called the Badlands. So it is a really, really big place.
Right.
But, also what was important for us is to actually make it a meaningful place. So everywhere you go, actually, it's something interesting. You don't just, run around for 5 minutes with just finding the same buildings. Our art team actually did a really, really amazing job planning the city. And as an example, to compare it to The Witcher Wild Hunt, where you had, as an example, the landscape of Velen, you had Novigrad, Skellige, these different countrysides. This is also kind of how we wanted to have our city districts appear.
Yeah,
so
but
they
no
are
load
very
screens.
distinct. You can really feel like if I'm in Japantown, I know I'm in Japantown.
yeah,
If I'm in North Oaks, where let's say the rich people of Night City live,
Right.
they have their villas and where it's green
Yep.
and there's palm trees. It's really a very different feeling from being in Watson, where there's, let's say, Maelstrom gang shooting up some joint at the side of the road. So it was really, really important for us to have this big city, this really big place to explore. That's of course also why you have cars. But everywhere you go, it's really thought through. And I'm still amazed by our art team. Like a while ago, one evening when I was just, getting ready to stop work, I was just starting the game and I walked through Kabuki, which used to be a Japanese part of the city, but actually a lot of Chinese inhabitants moved in. So you can actually see these different cultures actually shape this part of the town. And I just walked through and it was raining and I saw, the neon lights and there were people on the side talking to me. And I spent 40 minutes just walking, let's say, in like this 2% of the whole city. So I actually think people will be able to explore a lot in our game.
Yeah, you realize how big the city is when you get out of a car and just walk through it. Because there's so many alleys, so many living, breathing people walking around, going about their lives. Wild. When it comes to attributes, we have another question. Can you reset them? Or can you reset your skills and try different styles of play?
Yes, of course. This is, of course, part again of why we want to give you that much freedom. And of course, this freedom is that you can't, you can always reskill your character. Because, as I said before, we want to give you that fluid class system that actually gives you this power of experimentation. So as an example, if you want to play someone who's more like a cyber ninja, if you're really good with melee fights, if you want to use katanas, if you want to have a double jump or, dash in the air, you can do that. But maybe sometimes I would actually now prefer to just try out a little bit more hacking. And then we don't want you to have to start a new game. So you can actually do that.
Yeah, it's neat to go through and try the different things. I learned that I really enjoy hacking cameras, hacking people, and then watching them blow themselves up. It's truly a joy to not do anything and watch chaos happen. Someone in chat was asking, while you're going around the city, can you just get in general trouble?
Random encounter table.
You can
get
all sorts of things that will get you in trouble. We have another question. What's the money system, the economy like? Can you talk more about eddies and how that all works?
Yeah, so basically, in the future of Cyberpunk 2077, there's a new kind of currency, which is the euro dollar, and you're mostly paying with that. In the past, let's say, without going super deep into world building, there have been many, many issues with, the economy collapsing. So actually, an interesting thing is that in Cyberpunk, people use cash a lot. So if you actually play the game, you'll see lots of cash going around. Of course, people, for convenience, they can also pay with other means. So sometimes, as an example, if you do a quest for someone, they'll pay you directly without having to do anything. You'll just see their eyes glow in blue, and suddenly you have a money transfer. So you do have these different systems, but people in the future of 2077 are very careful with how they use their money. So cash is still a very important factor.
Yep.
I think it actually plays a role in the Corpo storyline, I believe. Difference between like bank account money and physical currency.
Yeah, I actually have a really nice anecdote about that. That at the beginning in this corporate prologue, you get a load of cash, and the quest designer responsible for it just decided, okay, it'll be $5,000. But actually, someone from QA checked how much money is on these specific bills. He said, actually, this would be way more than $5,000. So then, together with the quest designer, they went ahead and did the math. They said, okay, how thick is this money? And they actually checked, okay, how much money would that have to be? And I think then it was like 48,000 euro dollars. So, you can see, detail is very important for us.
Wow.
Yes. Speaking of which, speaking of details, last question, collaborations with other games or Easter eggs within. Will we find anything? Will we see a
how many times have people
like a time traveling Siri flying around? Like what do you got for it?
Well, anything I would say now would basically be spoiling the experience. The nice thing about Easter eggs is that you find them yourself. But we did hide some nice things in there. Some nice things you can find. As an example, you said earlier that you're in the game, and we went to very big lengths to really make your body. So the quest is about a very specific body part of yours. It's a very interesting story, a very moving story. So Night City is a very dark and gritty place, and it's important for us to show that. But the thing is, humor is still a part of this world, because if no one's ever having fun, then what is it about? So we want to have a really realistic place, and sometimes people can also be funny. So we also want to have some more funny things on the side as well.
Yeah, if you see a guy who looks like me in the game, please help him.
Yes.
Philip, thank you so much for joining us and sitting down and talk with us about Cyberpunk 7. I think we're all really. This was great. This was great deep dive into the wire. So thank you. Thank you for being
Only 5 more months.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for the great questions, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, chat. That is it for us. Thank you all for coming out and hanging out and deep diving into the world of Cyberpunk 2077 with us. Thank you to Twitch Gaming for hosting.
Okay. So, damn, that's a lot. I'm going to have to go back and watch it and probably do another video or two trying to break some of that down, because there's a lot in all that. Jeez. But,
so much.
Damn.
I mean, it's good because they're not over revealing stuff, but they're giving enough.
Yeah, they're giving us a lot to see, a lot to look at, and continue to keep the hype rolling. But
well,
oops.
They've got to
anyway,
keep it rolling till November.
That's right.
It would have been out. Like now, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Like last week.
Well, what is June? May? Yeah.
Yeah.
June. Well, it was going to be April 16th. Originally, it was April.
I think, yeah, it was going to be April. Then they moved it to June. I think it was literally supposed to launch last week.
I think, yeah, I believe you're right.
Thursday.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Was it? I can't remember.
September? Was it September? Or September?
No, it's September. Yeah.
I think it was September 19th. I think.
Yeah, so
September. No, it was April 16th to September 19th, and now November what, 25th?
No, November the
or November the something or other something. But who can keep track? They keep changing it.
I think it's November 18th.
Okay, so.
But oh yeah.
Okay, so I gotta run because I gotta go back to work. But thank you.
In America.
Yes, I gotta go work. thank you, Impulse, for joining me. And, you know, we did this whole thing, and we kind of got it. I think we got it together, and it worked.
Yeah.
With like seconds to spare.
It was a duct tape solution, but it was a solution nonetheless.
It got us there. It got us there. Yeah, on both sides. All right, man. I will see you later. I gotta go. Bye, everybody.
See you later.